See what else is there. Let's see. Uh, Excuse me. A little Rush. I'm on a Rush kick. I just got through listening to a bunch of Rush I haven't heard in a long time. Used to be I still am, a huge Rush fan. But, oh, man, it's been years. I've been spinning it on vinyl, too. God, it sounds so great. Yeah, man, they wrote some great stuff, man. I mean, talk about musicianship, right? I don't know, if you don't like Rush, there's something wrong with you. Probably the same bunch that doesn't like the Beatles. You know, I don't get it. But anyway, yeah, it's musicians' music. You don't have to be a musician to dig it. You know, I know a lot of people that love Rush that can't even play a harmonica or anything. Not that that's easy. Trust me, harmonica's hard. But what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to be a musician to appreciate that shit. You know, I mean, I went through a time capsule just now. I went back like 40 years, 40 plus years, listening to Moving Pictures. I remember when I couldn't wait for that album to come out. You know, I got turned on to Rush in a kind of a weird way. I lent somebody. Remember those Kiss albums, man? They did like these solo records. Ace Frehley did one. Gene Simmons did one. Peter Criss and Paul Stanley. Well, I had the Gene Simmons solo record, and a buddy of mine wanted to borrow it. And I said, "Yeah, man, sure, no problem." You know, so I gave it to him to listen to, and then he brought it to school. I think we were in high school still. He brought it back, and I didn't even bother looking at it. I just grabbed the album, took it home. So, maybe like a couple weeks later, I decided, well, I want to spin that thing because I haven't had it for a while. And I pulled the record out, and it's not my Gene Simmons record. It's Rush 2112. And I'm all, what the fuck is this doing in there? I mean, at the time, I wasn't into Rush, you know what I mean? I knew people that were, but I just, I never really gave them a good listen. I just, I've heard a couple things, but whatever was on the radio, you know, I think they had one big hit, you know, can't remember the name of it. I think it was off of the Caress of Steel record, or I'm not too sure. But anyway, you know, I got this Rush 2112 record inside of my Gene Simmons record. And I'm like, fuck, man, this ain't, So I decided to give it a listen. I'll spin it, put it on the turntable. And I was completely blown away. I mean, it floored me, I listened to that thing and then it never left the turntable. Literally, I swear to God. I must have listened to that record straight for like a good 45 days. I became a big Rush fan. And then I went and got Hemispheres, which is my favorite. I mean, 2112 is the one that turned me on the Rush. But this one here, this is my fucking absolute favorite, This thing is so beat to shit, I can't even really play it. I have to skip the first two tracks on both sides of the record because somehow it got damaged. It got warped or something. I don't know how. But on top of that, it's just full of scratches and wear marks. I mean, this thing's been through some parties. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's fantastic. So I became hooked. And then I went backwards from there. I think I got a Fly By Night, Caress of Steel, and then the first, Rush album. Then this one was getting ready to hit the stores. And I remember waiting for it to hit the record store. I used to go every day and check, is that new Rush record in yet? No, it isn't in. I think I was going to Rainbow Records or someplace, Tower Records in San Jose, trying to get this thing. Finally, I got it. And I love, there's so many great songs on this record. I love this thing. Tom Sawyer, YYZ. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff on here that just melt, you burn your face right off. Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight, and the second side is more, not the hits, but more like obscure Rush style. But the first side got Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, and Limelight. Those are the big hits off this album. And I took my sister to her first concert, which was the Moving Pictures tour. Remember that, Lise? Remember that? I took her to see Rush for her first concert. She must have been about 16 years old, maybe. I don't know. Maybe younger. Maybe she was 14. Yeah. But yeah, that was her first concert. I said, hey, you got to come. I'll take you to go see Rush. And me and my girlfriend took her. And, I know my sister's a big Rush fan. She don't play an instrument, Anyway, I'm just saying, there's a lot of people I always hear, oh, I can't stand the guy's voice, or oh, I never got into Rush. Well, yeah, maybe if you'd stop listening to fucking Boys to Men and shit like that, if you had a musical ear, you might pick up on this shit. But, I can't help you. If you're tone deaf, that's something God gave you. I can't help you. Rush can't help you. And, other good bands can't help you either. You're shit out of luck. Continue listening to the other bullshit you listen to. But anyway, no, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to put down your music. If you like Boyz II Men, hey, you're probably a female and, you grew up on that shit, Boy George, shit like that. But there's not a lot of stuff that can top Rush. I mean, there's a lot of good bands out there, but Rush, I mean, they, songs like YYZ, I mean, just the musicianship, the arrangement, the articulation of all the bits and pieces, the guitar playing, the bass playing, Geddy Lee, and I don't even really need to talk about Neil Peart, do I? I mean, come on. This is the guy that it's kind of like created the roadmap for all modern drummers. Every heavy metal, every thrash metal drummer, every hard rock, the guy who plays for Dream Theater. Yeah, I can't really think of his name. I know he's a badass too. you know, those guys owe it all to Neil Peart, man. I mean, he wrote the book. Him and John Bonham. Okay, those two guys. Without those two guys, we'd be listening to, I don't know, guys that were, not to mention that these guys I mean, before that, you had to listen to jazz cats. You know what I mean? Like Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich. I mean, those guys they're monsters. Monsters on the drum set. Then you got Neil Peart and John Bonham, monsters for rock music. I mean, those four drummers are the best in the world, And this new guy, not new, he's not new, but the guy who plays for Dream Theater, I can't think of his name right now. It's Casey Portnoy. I don't know. I'm not really a big Dream Theater fan. Never got into that. Everybody else did. In some ways, I'm deaf too. What can I say? But yeah, Neil Peart, phenomenal. Rest in peace. That guy, all the modern drummers owe everything to that guy. He changed the game. Game changer. Like Van Halen and Jimi Hendrix, game changers, right? Neil Peart. No, there's no denying that, Yeah, you see this piece of tape? As ugly as it is. I need to have that on there. Because sometimes the E string, if you get a little overzealous, you're strumming a little bit hard, which I'm trying not to do these days. I'm trying to keep it cool, you know what I mean? But sometimes the string gets hung up underneath the bobbins, these coils here. There's a little lip. And the string will get caught up underneath, and then you go to play that string, and it's like, whoa, it's gone. What happened to it? It gets caught up underneath that. My plan is to put a pickup cover on this neck pickup so that doesn't happen anymore. Because the string is further away from the bridge, it vibrates more, and it will get caught up underneath. It won't happen down here because the tension is much tighter. It's close to the bridge, right? So the string isn't vibrating like crazy. That's why these strings down here, when you use this pickup, it's brighter sounding, right? I mean, duh. Anyway, so don't make fun of my tape. It's functional. It doesn't allow the string to get caught underneath. It just hits the tape and goes right back where it needs to be. If I didn't have that tape there, at least, a couple times during a gig, it'll get caught up and lost. And I'm like, fuck, man. My game, I got a cover. Next time I change strings on this thing, I'm pulling the pickup out and I'm going to solder the cover on here. And that will eliminate that problem. I think we have one day left for shopping, right? Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Most places, I'm sure, will be closed on Christmas Day. So you got one more day to get your shopping in. If you got any last minute, I mean, hey, don't waste any time. Get out there and get it done. I just got through wrapping all my presents, listening to Rush, by the way, while I was doing that. And yeah, that made the time go by, because I hate wrapping presents. But listening to Rush, bringing back all these memories, and I mean, I had that shit cranked, right? So loud that my needle of the record player was feeding back from the subwoofer, right? So I had this like in between tracks, you could hear the whole thing humming. I got to relocate that subwoofer further away from the turntable so I don't get that feedback. It's kind of like a microphone feeding back. You're too close to the speaker, a microphone or a guitar where you're just too close to the amp, it feeds back. The further you are away, you eliminate that feedback. You can at least curtail it. But yeah, my subwoofer is like, maybe 12 inches away from the turntable. So I got to buy a longer cord and put that subwoofer like, 10 feet away. Because it doesn't matter where that is. It can be in the other room, the other opposite side of the room. Even sounds better that way. That way your music becomes a little bit more three-dimensional. Bass is coming from someplace else, and everything else is coming from a different direction. It's like surround sound, right? It's great. So maybe that's what I'll do when I'm done filming this little video. Log into my Amazon account and buy like a 20-foot RCA cable to hook up my subwoofer to. Guess I'm going to need an extension cord too, because when I turn the receiver on, it powers up the subwoofer, and I don't want to leave that subwoofer roasting 24 hours a day. Last time I did that, I fried it. I had a nice JBL subwoofer with a 12-inch. And one day it just started feeding back out of the blue, just like, it wasn't even, no signal going into it, but the amp took a shit. And I took it to an amp guy. He goes, I can't fix this, man. This is one of those amps, like, when it's gone, it's gone. So there went that. Anyway, I'm drinking my eggnog again. It's the 23rd, Monday the 23rd. I worked today a little bit and got some shit done. Got up at the 4 a.m. hour of the morning and went to work like all these other smucks, all these other chumps at work. I'm a working chump, and not for long. But yeah, that's what I did today. Didn't do any shopping. I do need to go buy some brandy or some rum, because this is the last of the eggnog. You know what I mean? And it isn't even Christmas Eve yet. So, let me put this thing down somewhere. I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Be safe, be sane. Spend time with your loved ones. It's great to be alive, to celebrate Christmas with your family, with the children, because that's what Christmas is all about. The kids, right? Okay, so this is the ending that didn't happen on my last video, because somebody was trying to video or FaceTime me or whatever, and it preempted the ending of my video. Anyway, Merry Christmas. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. I'll see you next time. And I hope you have a great holiday. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.